All right, we'll bring the Park and Rec May 5th meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Steve,
Here.
AJ,
Here.
Seth, Todd,
Here.
and Cindy. Here.
His grandma passed away.
All right, so we're looking on our agenda item 2, first period for public comment. So if you have a public comment you'd like to make, you can come on up to the lectern and say your name, address, and keep your comment to 3 minutes or less.
My name is Sonia Neuenhaus. I live on Hickory Street near item agenda number 2. Is that the Washington? Or which item? Number 6. Okay. So I can only stay till 5:55. So it's awkward, but I'm going to make public comments just guessing on some things. So just be aware that I'm here with some knowledge and not as much knowledge as I'd like. And so if there's time after your presentation, I'm guessing you're presenting, or there's a presentation at 6, I'll write some comments and maybe hand them, and they could be read at the second public comment. I don't know if that's okay, but just as a... So I'm here because I'm aware that there's a possibility of a strip of land possibly wished to be bought by these wonderful gentlemen who live adjacent to, and I don't know, just remember, I don't know exactly, this is just what I've been apprised to, at right on the side of Washington Park. So we walk there all the time with our dog, and as you know, I developed Prairie Wind, so I'm very familiar with this area. A little bit of history and context with I'm the chair of the Housing Advisory Board, and I'm on the Plan Commission. And we identified the strip, not the woods, not the rock, not all the way up to their houses, but we identified this strip as a possibility down the road if there's sewer to put houses on. Because we, as you know, we're in a housing crunch. And we were told, which I fully understand by Nate, that we couldn't designate just that strip in yellow on the future land use map for housing because it had to be broken down by parcels, and we couldn't put all of Washington Park as housing because of course that wouldn't make sense. But just know that these discussions came up more than once at both of these committees. Then I very much, because Richard and I are on the Plan Commission together, and I know Richard has maintained and has had raccoon and skunk issues because we see them and we smell them in these woods that I think are being brought up. And they have a desire and have done some clearing, which we totally appreciate living nearby because it's just sort of a messy area. So I think it makes a lot of sense for property owners to possibly purchase that rock, the rock outcropping. And it makes sense to me for volunteers or property owners to volunteer to thin the woods, to make it less friendly for critters, make it more friendly for hikers, and maybe Vernon Trail, I've heard maybe possibly a little trail loop there that could connect to Prairie Wind. But I don't think it's in the best interest of the city to sell any city land except for the rock. The rock is truthfully a liability. So that would be very generous if they were to buy the rock, because there are future opportunities, and I think we should wait to see what those options could be, and there should be no rush to sell anything, but rather meet the needs of these neighbors and hear what their issues are and work with them on something that doesn't involve a sale of land. So for example, if you might think, well, houses would never fit there. I walk by this all the time and I build small houses, and I know small houses could fit there and you could remove some of the trees. There's also a beautiful lawn right across the cemetery that's mowed by the city could easily fit 3 units. Then I think if I was a neighbor, I wouldn't want houses and those lights right down below me. So then I think, well, we could put in a dark sky ordinance in the future so they don't have lights coming up to them. There could be height restrictions on those future houses if houses were ever built there. Maybe the city develops a land trust so the city always owns that strip and has a developer or somebody else build houses. Maybe nobody ever wants houses there. And then it could become, let the public be much more of a public process of what should go in that beautiful lawn. Maybe it's community gardens. Maybe it's, who knows, a sport that likes a little bit of a hill. I don't know what that sport is yet. But mostly I think that we should never sell city land without a very, very good due process of public input, not just at a meeting like this, because it's still like who you know. And if you look up the agendas, is my time almost up? Okay, so bottom line, I think we can work out, again, not knowing what they're about to say, but we can work out any issues and have volunteers, but please don't sell land unless it's the rock. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Is there anybody online, Nate, that would like to make a public comment at this time?
We have a few folks online, but I do not see anybody rushing to unmute or nobody has their hand raised, so I think you're good, Steve.
Okay, then we'll move on to item 3, approval of committee minutes from March 3rd, 2026.
Says AJ, I make a motion that we approve the committee minutes from March 3rd, 2026.
Cindy, I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. On to item 4, update on the CIP equipment purchases with possible action regards to an additional mower.
Thanks. So I know this was on the agenda a couple months ago, but after the first mowing in the spring, me and Dustin, my park supervisor, had talked. There was a couple new things that had came up. So I'm asking you, if all possible, if we could look again to use the remaining balance in the CIP equipment fund that I had originally asked for in our CIP to purchase the zero-turn mower. So if you guys remember correctly, we put about 79K in that CIP. You guys were all supportive of UTV. And again, we've used that every day since we got it. It's been a huge help with the parks. So again, thank you for that. The drag we haven't got yet, but I just called today. They're waiting on one part to put it together. And then I'm keeping my fingers crossed that it will be here by next week. He's got to take a mower or a drag to Sparta as well. So he's trying to get them together. But again, that's going to save time with the fields when we take over the 4 baseball and softball fields at the school during the summer. The zero turn, again, I was hoping to request that, but at that time, I was happy with 2 of them. Since then, we've been mowing, and you guys have known how much we have mowed. In talking with utilities, we currently use their tractor to mow their utility areas throughout the city. That's been fairly well, but in talking with Greg, he would like to see that tractor be more used at the wastewater treatment plant and not used to mow. So we're still working that out. I don't know when the summer hits if he's going to need it more for, he said, end loading and, just more time out at the wastewater. So if that does happen, then we're going to be using our small, probably John Deere mower to mow all their utilities. And there's some areas that concern me with that small mower on side hills. It could probably be done, but again, we currently drive their mowers out to every spot. We do have a trailer, and we could do that. It's just gonna, put a wrench in our system if we need that trailer to move something else. Then also right away, like 2 weeks ago, the Public Works mower went down. So they've had to use our mower quite a bit. And at the time, we've had our small John Deere mower that, again, we've been using to drag fields because we don't have the drag. So that's been using to drag. Todd had stopped down yesterday. We finally got the cab off our BX due to the winter and just, again, being behind, and it takes a long time to get that cab off and change out mowers or decks and stuff. So again, when I first requested the zero turn, I want the same kind of with the utilities. The BX, we currently mow all the time with it, and we can't use it for other implements. I would like to use that more when we have to provide wood chips somewhere or hook back up an attachment and go use it somewhere. So the 2 zero turns, we could get a lot done at our parks. It would save us, again, the zero turn takes half the time that the BX takes when we're mowing. So if we could use that BX more for projects and then have 2 zero turns mowing. And then again, if Public Works or if a mower goes down, we could, share it between all different departments. And again, if utilities uses the tractor more at the wastewater, or if they need to, do a project with roads or anything, they have that, and we still have enough mowers to get everything done. So again, I'm asking you if we could take that rest of that CIP and purchase a zero turn mower with that. As you can kind of see, that's what we've spent so far. That's just one zero turn quote I got. We could, again, open it up and see if we can bring that price down. But that's the zero turn mower that we currently have. So we know everything about that, and it's been a great mower for us. So we would be at 77.6 for that, under the 79 that I requested a while ago.
And so that 79 was that just allocated for just equipment in the
original
CIP,
CIP, yes.
So the draft CIP, again, there was a $79,000 placeholder for this equipment. It's still in draft form. We need to implement a 2-year stopgap capital improvement plan, and that conversation will likely start at the council meeting next Tuesday. We're in a tough situation here because, as Cale mentioned, like, there's compelling needs as to why we need it now instead of wanting to wait for it, particularly with some of the changes happening in the Public Works Department and their equipment. And we're just, the hardest thing that I'm seeing year after year is just burning through staff time, maintaining properties without the right equipment, right? It's just taking us that much longer to do everything. And so I told Cale, I said, put it in front of your Park and Rec committee again, if you feel compelled to do so, have them, give you a position on it. He doesn't have actual numbers for you today. I think really what you're looking for is a recommendation to explore further and bring some quotes back to see where we're really at.
And what's the general life cycle on one of these? Do we usually do like a 3-year?
We currently do a 3-year.
And then how new is the other zero turn?
We just replaced it this year. So we have that one, yes, for
Right.
3 years.
All right.
So this one I would keep, and we wouldn't replace it. We would just
Okay.
have it. And again, that's zero turn diesel. They're pretty, like I said, we haven't had any problems with the current one that we've had. So they're commercial grade mowers.
The Kubota that you were taking the cab off of yesterday, that's a new one, isn't it? Is that the one we just bought?
That's the BX.
Yep.
That's,
Isn't that new?
it's 2 years old.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Okay, so it was the zero.
The zero turn was
That was, okay.
they're on rotating schedule, so
Okay,
next year we'll get
okay. What's the
hopefully get a
value
BX.
of something like that? How much
the
does something like that cost, that BX?
the BX.
Is that?
It's probably about the same because
oh,
when
it
we
is. Okay,
turn it in, we try to get about 9,000 for it or pay 9,000 for it.
okay. I'm just thinking that, by not mowing with it and saving that would last longer, of course.
Yeah,
The only thing I would recommend is I know you like the John Deere because you already have one evidently.
well, this one's just a picture. I couldn't find the
Oh,
exact one
okay.
that we have.
I personally would like to see you go and get some bids from local
Yep, and
businesses here.
yep,
Yeah.
we have them. I
Okay,
just don't have them
Oh, okay.
here.
okay. I thought you were set on this John
No.
Deere, but okay. Yeah, that's good.
No, I reached out to Tractor Supply a few months ago, Portland and Nelson Agri Center has a
Okay.
Ferris.
Mhm.
So I've got 3 quotes for that. So
Okay,
I'll probably reach out again and just see if the prices have changed.
Yeah.
And then bring those back.
okay.
Are those all comparable? They're all commercial grade?
How about Effingers or Effingers?
Yeah, well, you could reach out to him. I don't
He
know
has
about
them, I
the
don't know.
cutter brand, so.
I'm always leery of green and yellow paint, but I know some people swear by their John Deere mowers, so.
This was just, again, this
Yeah.
is just a picture to show what a zero turn looks like.
But thank you. I'm glad you're gonna check the other kinds of mowers. So I would make a motion. Oh, go ahead. I was gonna make a motion. You go ahead and research purchasing a new zero turn commercial mower.
This is AJ, I'll second that.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? And then all we need is a roll call on this, or do we need a roll call or no?
I don't think so
right.
because of the fact that you're not spending it yet.
Cool. So all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you, Kale. Item number 5, update on possible action on Eckhart Playground project.
So just to give you a little update on this, things are going well. The big thing is we just probably a week or 2 ago, we got all the play equipment delivered. And a shout out to Jacob at Nelson Agri Center. It's being stored inside one of his buildings right now. And then when the build comes, then we'll transport it over. So that's all the play structures. So like the swing, the zip line, the climbing net, the wood has not came yet. I shouldn't say wood, the composite style, structures that are coming. So haven't got confirmation on that yet, but again, that is all stored away. We have our leadership meeting tomorrow to update the group on like fundraising. I've got word from Angie that it's going well, but she still isn't done with fundraising. So hopefully we'll kind of get a number tomorrow on that. Brad from the Lions is doing the volunteers. Haven't heard much from him yet. So again, this tomorrow meeting should let us know where we stand on anything and what needs to still be done. I was just talking with Steve, the tools, we still need to go through all the tools and what we have and maybe what we need to purchase or what we need to supplement and get for that. Again, we're still working heavily on in-kind donations with different organizations through Viroqua. A lot of them have been very kind. Just a heads up, GFL has offered to help us with tipping fees and removal of the old playground equipment. So that was the big savings. And there's other local businesses that have stepped up and provided savings for that. That's just to name one. Again, our goal is to shut it down July 13th. Put a fence around it, take down a few play structures that we can get to it right away. And then tear down will probably start the end of that week or the following week. So people are asking about that, and we kind of have the timeline for that. It'll take a while to grade and final grade, and then, you know, pour the post or set the post with concrete. So it'll take some time, and then we'll be ready to go in September with that for our September 28th community build.
I was gonna ask if people are buying parts of it, the old structure.
It's been a while since we've talked about that. So we did put it out to bid. We did not have any interest in that. There was no interest in that. So the current plan right now is to dispose of it all.
And so originally our close date was like just after the 4th of July, but July 11th is the Driftless Music Festival. So we understood that, putting a fence around a playground that's still up, but maybe not, would probably not be the best thing to do when there's a captive audience at the park. So why we pushed it a little bit.
Any other questions on Eckhart Park?
It must be fun seeing those parts coming in.
Yep.
Pretty exciting.
So I don't think we need any action taken. So thank you, Kale, for the update. And we'll fortunately or unfortunately, we have a meeting to discuss most of this tomorrow and have more to update the next meeting. So we'll move on to item 7, discussion with possible action on selection of firm for design services on. Man, I skipped right over that. 6, discussion with possible action on Washington Park land. So do we want to have them speak, or do we have an overview, essentially what?
We can go through, and then if you guys want to jump in, and I have a couple slides to show. So if you guys remember this, this was brought up maybe a year ago before our comp plan. They reached out to us asking first what our intentions were with this land, and then if we would be interested in selling that land to them. And again, please let me know if I misspeak, but the whole thing was kind of brought up that they would like their land, Washington Park land, to spruce it up and maintain it, because currently right now it's just wooded forest. And they're having some issues with critters and some other things, so they would like to clear it out and open it up. But at that time, we were starting our comprehensive outdoor rec plan. We wanted to see that through, so we kind of put them on hold until the comp plan finalized. We finalized the comp plan, and then Richard and Bill reached out and asked kind of where we're at. So we thought this would be a good starting point to start the conversation again. As you guys know, I'll get to that point. So sorry. So this is the area in question. We do have land north of there. That's 1.6 acres. And again, the numbers might not be perfect. I tried to take them off GIS. The current land that you're looking at is 2.7 acres. And then again, so our comprehensive plan, our priority A, we had priority A, B, and C. Our priority A was consider a master park plan. So we got the comprehensive plan done, but part of the comprehensive plan was not a park master plan. So that's landscape architect coming in and designing different features that could go at this park. We've talked about installing new amenities like benches. There's a water fountain out there that got taken down and we just haven't had the time or resources or money to put a drinking fountain back in. Park signs, benches, I think I already said. So those are things that we're looking at creating at this spot. And then we talked about like a natural hillslide that, you know, the woods is on a hill, and could we do a play feature off the hill? Those are becoming very common these days. We have a very old playground right now. So if we could move that playground and, you know, play off the land and, you know, do something like that. And then the sand volleyball court, it gets used, but we need to put a lot more time into that, get new sand, get it back out to where it is. It just keeps coming in the grass. So there's a lot of things that we need to do here. So this, again, apologize. This is Chat GPT, just trying to kind of do a master plan. So this would be somebody coming in and like looking at the area and could we do a shelter there? Could we do a trail here? And so on. That tab is our current comp plan where it was timeline A, B, and C. So I took those from that.
Can I ask you a question? So you're talking about the whole area. You're not just talking about what we think of, what I think of anyway, is Washington Park, just the stretch. Where
So
the soccer field, or not soccer, but the volleyball court and the play area. You're talking about all the way down around the corner.
Yep. So that would be the blue area that was on the thing. And a park master plan would be the whole park, the baseball, soccer field / there.
Across the road, too.
Yep. So again, these are the new amenities and you can kind of see, this is just from the internet. These are the prices. You know, a new water fountain is $6,000. Trash receptacles, one is almost $900 and a bench, $800. And then the Bigley sign, we'd like to kind of keep that with all our parks and start, you know, putting them out at different parks. So you can see, as you guys are aware, nothing is cheap. And it takes a lot of money and effort to put those things in. So I kind of just wanted to show you that. These are some things that I first thought maybe we could put in that area. Nature trails, walking and biking, seated area, pump track, mountain bike trails. But then I reached out to Vernon Trails and we've had discussions, and I know Alice Ann's here. And if there's time, we can have her talk. But again, we don't want to just put a pump track in if somebody else in the area already has a pump track. So a pump track is where a bike goes on it and they don't have to pedal and they just keep going based on the hills. So you just keep going. So that's kind of what I thought. Again, this is a natural play play set off the hill. If we could encompass something like this, these are becoming again more popular, where they climb up and then slide down. Again, a lot of playgrounds are just putting this in and like building hills. We have a hill. Could we do something like that? Here's another idea that I found, just more of a natural play. This is more of a play structure itself. Could we do something like that? Again, this is the rock that is hidden in those trees. So it is pretty impressive when you stand under it. Me and Richard walked it and stood under it, and it's pretty impressive. So if we could show more of that, you know, that might be something to the community. So the problem for us is managing this wooded area. Again, it is wooded area. So we currently do not manage any city-owned or wooded acres. We just don't have the time and resources There probably are some invasive species in there. And we do our best if we have time to clean it out, but in walking the property and Richard has done some work on his property, but that front portion is much more manageable for us if we had time to maintain, but we just don't have the time or the staff. The back portion that is farther, that is so overgrown that we don't have time for it. Again, in talking with Vernon Trails, would it be something that they could get a group of volunteers and help us maintain? They thought we could. We're starting that Friends of the Parks, that might take a while to get going, but if there's different organizations that could help us maintain that, that might be a way to kind of help them and help us clean that area up. But right now, we just don't, again, have the time with our staff. We got questions, Cindy?
I was just gonna make a comment. I know Richard's asked about this. If you could get goats in there, we could change it so that we could have goats. Do that for 3 years in a row. That would make a big difference.
So this was my stab at just kind of a quick in-house master plan. Could we do some trails again? This is not to scale, so I do not know. That front portion, that's more flat. So if we ever could move the playground, I would pick where the green is and try to do a off the hill play structure there. Again, this was when I was kind of using, they kind of not to scale by any means, but they show you what it could look like too. So could you put something up on that hill? So this is kind of, again, more of the property that is in question. Me and Richard had talked. We have about 4 different options if we were to kind of look at it. Option A is the very end of the rock. Just to, again, kind of show you different ways that we could maybe split that up if we did decide to go this way without selling all the property.
So the very end of the rock, what does that mean?
Yeah, so are you saying that the blue portion is what we would sell? Is that where you're?
No, this is just one section. So the whole blue section goes down here. If you see the property line.
Right. No, that's the entire property, but you mentioned something about there's a rock.
So
right?
this is that rock
Okay,
face
yeah,
right
okay,
here.
so you're talking south of the rock face.
Yep,
okay.
So in question, if I lost my, okay. So Richard would, this portion, the blue, and then Bill, I didn't highlight that. But Bill would always be south of the blue down through here. And this is where it's super heavily densed, that we can't get through right now. Any questions with that? This one, if we did do that, we still, if we were over time to open it up to a trail or clean that out, it opens that rock up and Richard owns the top of that rock. So would it invite people to climb it? There is ways that you could probably put like a netting on the rock where people can't climb it. But that was a concern if we, looked at this option, like if we open that rock and then have more people up to that. Option B would to go to the first part of the rock. So extend that. Richard would get a little bit more and then Bill still would have down here. And then it just keeps kind of going. Again, in talking with Richard, this is more flat up here. So, if we were to keep some of that, could we extend or move that playground up in here, because this is probably the most flat area of that side of the hill. So this would just get it a little more farther. And then this was in talks before I even got here, because this is what Boone had come up with from that property line. Kind of that jog right there. And then when they first talked, this was kind of what they had talked about. So we just tried to provide different options if we were to consider this. But again, in talking with Vernon Trails and Richard, the only real usage that I felt that could be done in this area, if we weren't to sell it and we kept it, the only thing that I feel that we could do would be like a loop, a walking path type of thing. In talking with Richard, I asked him if we were to sell it, would you still be interested in developing a path that people could use to get around that area? And he was for it. Again, it would be working with the city and maybe Vernon Trails and different user groups to kind of have that trail. Again, I don't have a screen, but Prairie Wind is to the south. And then the cemetery. So people do use this road to walk. I just don't know how far. They probably go to Prairie Wind, walk around Prairie Wind and come back. So it could essentially, if we get trails spurred off, it could be a trailhead of some sort. We don't have a lot of parking. That would be an issue. They would have to park at Prairie Wind. But there are different ways that we could, play around with it. Richard, Bill, anything that I missed or that you want to say in regards? You'll have to speak up there.
On the right side there, you see that down below, where it looked like it's mowed, right in the corner, right there, your hand, no.
Right.
Right in the corner, you see where it's mowed, those trees right there, okay. Is that city property or is that, I don't think it is.
Nope, that's the property line is the green line.
Yeah, okay, that land.
Bill, you're gonna have to use the microphone. We have folks online, otherwise, by the way, Seth joined like 15 minutes ago.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yep, go ahead.
Okay, that land over in the corner. I've lived on Washington Heights for close to 55 years. And about 4 or 5 years after I purchased my home, that land was sold down there in the corner to a landowner at the time. So I inquired about buying some land also. The land we're talking about right there. And at that time, I met with the city council with my former neighbor that Richard has the house now. And we met with the council. We explained it to them. If we could get the same as the neighbor got, purchasing land, we wanted the opportunity to buy the land, buy some land also. It never got, I don't think, through council or whatever at the time, or through committee. So I waited a few more years, maybe 7, 8 years, and I approached the city council again. And we discussed it, and we discussed some surveying, things like that. And I think John Severson, who was worked for the city at the time, he was kind of keeping me in touch with that, but it never went any farther than committee for some reason. Also, the buying of the land never got any farther than committee. So there was never really any resolution made or any type of commitment from my end or the city. Well, Richard moved in and I told him about my situation. And he said, well, maybe we could work on it again. So that's where we're at now. We would like to purchase the land that showed there. If there's a way to work it out with the city, we would like to work with you or in some way. Richard's been doing a lot of work on it. I haven't done as much research of late, but I guess that's what we'd like to do, is if there's a way that we could, because last year we caught 30-some skunks up there on that property. It seems to be a haven for a lot of the animals that are around the area. But if it was cleaned up, I don't think we'd have that problem.
Can I ask
So-
you a question?
Yeah,
The part that was sold, was that sold to the homeowners where the house is down there? Do you know, is that part of their land?
yeah, there's a home over in,
Yeah,
That's where-
that one, their lot?
if you remember, Gary Williams lived there.
Yeah.
He's the one that purchased the land back years ago.
Right.
You remember.
So is,
Well,
go ahead.
Bill, if I may, because I talked with Richard earlier today, and I basically I asked him point blank what the problem was, and I think you identified the problem is that because it's overgrown, it's allowing for essentially critters to live in there. And then so I was basically comes down to this. Last week we were trying to buy land for public use. And this week we're talking about selling land that we already own as a city. So I'm trying to be fair here, and I was trying to come up with a resolution or like a solution to the problem that you both have, which is you just want it maintained to the point where there's no critters living there. Is that essentially the long and short of it?
Well, we've agreed that if it's all cleaned up and everything, fine. If we
Right,
don't, if we
exactly.
don't have to worry about the problems that we've had.
That's kind of like, it's not that you guys just want to buy the land. It was
But-
like, there's a,
But we would like it to purchase it and we clean it up ourselves.
Sure.
I mean, we get it done.
right. I guess my only thought on that is that if, I don't know how we would go about selling land, because do we just sell it to the adjacent property owner, or do we open it up to the public that anybody gets to bid on it then? Like, I don't know how that works.
Well, I mean, there is precedent for talking to the adjacent property owners. I do think that this is an interesting one because I don't get a good sense of the topography of this land just from looking at the aerial. And, you know, part of the questions we have is like, why are we going all the way to the public right of way? Is that necessary? Is there any reason why we're going all the way to the right of way against Lewis and Lane? Do we want to reserve a portion of it for future, or, you know, bike or walking amenities? Because as somebody said, there are people who travel that, and it's becoming more and more of a place. So not even I'm talking about other private property owners, I'm talking about ourselves for future use is something that Kale and I have wrestled with for a year and a half since Richard, you know, started asking about this again.
Oh, go ahead.
Well, I guess I don't want to speak for anybody, but the conversation we had was that, you know, because I went and looked at it, and it is rather, there's a lot of fallen trees, there's a lot of just like kind of brush that is kind of it's kind of a nuisance. It's not really pretty to look at. I know it's wooded area, but you know, I'm also trying to like, how can the city help resolve this without having to sell land, right? Well, goats might be the issue, or, you know, a solution, right?
How about Sonia's idea about selling you guys the outcropping part? And then, yeah, and then keeping the area that she mentioned for future parks or even housing someday.
Well, we're if it's a future park, that's fine. And like we've said, if the city keeps all that land, as long as it's maintained to what's expected of all of us, that's fine too. But it's not cheap. So anyway, our proposal was, and like Nate just said, our land wouldn't have to go up to the right of way of the street either. But our thinking was if we would offer $10,000 an acre based on a survey that we would pay for, and we would pay to clean the land up, that should be a benefit to both. And again, we wouldn't need all that. And again, the city wants to take it and clean it and keep it in a good way, that would be all right too. As far as the skunks go, I think that the guy that I was having trap them, he'd take them around the corner and drop them off again there, and we'd trap the skunks.
I mean, there's been a
you-
lot of good ideas,
Yeah.
you know, with the park and the housing, but I see several issues with all of that. I was up there, looked at it, and it's so steep, you'd have erosion problems, and there's a lot more desirable places for housing locations, for one thing. The erosion issues would be huge. It would require a lot of excavating. If they're willing to do what we've talked about doing in cleaning it up, I guess to me it's foolish not to sell the land and let them do it. Take that money to buy your mower. But yeah, it's a mess, and it's so steep. I see a lot of issues with erosion, especially if you have slides and bark and if
I'm just
if there's
worried.
vegetation there, that's going to help the erosion. But if you start putting bark and fixing, plus the expense of doing all these park amenities, up in there anyway, I think there'd be some huge issues with the erosion because it's very, very steep and ugly looking.
Yeah, the one thing I have a concern if the city maintains it and we somehow find time to clean that out and build a trail and mow it, with the steepness of that, are we gonna have problems with keeping mowing that up? The maintenance of it.
Even a trail, like you said, that'd be great up in there too, and it could be done, but I still think there's going to be ditches washed across it. A lot more maintenance than what people would think. I have Harley Hill side beside me, and I see issues there with all this stuff that I've just talked about.
I know if Vernon Trails built it, they would build the trails properly so that wouldn't be erosion problem. They do know how to do
Right.
that.
Yep. And I think these guys talked about possibly co-oping with them and having that done.
What's nobody's really responded to just selling them the outcropping, like Sonia said. Then you could deal with skunks and stuff, couldn't you?
Well, to buy where the rock is, that the city just owns a sliver of that rock, not the face. The city owns the face of it, but we own all the rest of it.
So you need a little more than that outcropping, is what you're saying. A little more than, you need the whole rock plus a little more?
Well, we thought if we would like do option C or D and could have us own past that rock face, we could probably manage that. And it's a beautiful rock if it gets cleaned up there. I mean, you can't see much of it now, but if it was cleaned up, it's a beautiful rock.
I think it would probably get done in a more timely fashion if they were to have it done and versus putting together
One
city
thing,
crews to do it.
no.
Can I bring something up real quick? Sorry, I'd really like to hear from Allison. I know we talk about Vernon Trails, but I know Vernon, to speak on behalf of Vernon Trails without having Allison speak on behalf of Vernon Trails makes me nervous. So is there anything you can come up and say to what the potential of this property is for actual potential park space or amenities? Cause I think that's a key question we haven't had answered yet.
Sure. We did meet with Kale. I do think some of this goes to like, what's the city's vision? I am hearing like Vernon Trails could be in for any option out there. I do think there is opportunity in that space to create a pretty, to build, not all of this right now, but there is a potential for that park to grow into a pretty neat space. And there is the ability to put a trail through the properties and then back around. It could link up then to Prairie Wind. So you have some future opportunity there. From our perspective, I don't totally agree with, there is ability to put a sustainable trail through there and lots of ways to do it. The topography of the land is exactly what we met when we cleared the 40 acres at the VFW. So this is a very small project in the scheme of things. From our perspective, though, it could be a win, like we're willing to be a partner in any constellation, but I don't think you should just say it's not possible to put something there that could really be a long-term building block to future. You do have, you gave me a mic, so bear with me, but you have the opportunity to maybe put a loop there to create a really cool park setting, to clean it up because the neighbors deserve to have it cleaned up. And then it could also then link into Prairie Wind that could begin a broader loop around the VFW. So we haven't lost all the ability to create a little recreational area because you have then no, it's not compost, but the brush site. Like, so there's things you could do that could get creative, and Vernon Trails can clear it out. And I think we could clear it out this season. It's just how you want to go about it. Did that answer your question? Thanks.
So we do have, I'll just make a warning that we do have 8 minutes till Public Works is set to start. We have another actual item on the agenda. I don't think we're gonna have time to really get into it too much, so, but we can at least touch on it and talk about what next steps are. But I would say we probably want to talk about how to wrap up this meeting for at least the time being and what you guys would like to, where you would like to go from here.
Sounds good.
Like me and Allison talked too, and again, I think everybody wants it cleaned up. We just don't have the time. So without selling it right now or down the road, could we have time to work with Vernon Trails Friends Group, maybe them, get a plan? Like, if we can clean it, great. It works for everybody. If, let's say in a year we can't do it, then maybe we bring it up and say, yes, this can't happen. Then maybe we look to sell it or do something. But that's where me and Allison and we were thinking maybe that would be the best option. Like, give us a chance, and can we all work together and create something cool for the city? And if not, so we don't have to sell it.
Do you need a motion or anything?
I like
We should
that.
probably have a motion
I
coming
like
up.
that option, kind of explore what we can create and clean up first.
Yeah, but
To your point, like we're just talking about potentially buying more
Right.
land and now we're having a conversation to sell it. And
Right.
I think trying to make a plan to clean it up.
Is that a motion?
I'll make that motion that we explore options to clean up the Washington Park wooded area
With, in cooperation
with
with,
cooperation
It
with.
would have to be with them
Yes.
because we just don't have the
Do you want to put a
time.
timeline on that? I think there should be a timeline put on that too.
I'll second it.
Sorry, do you want Allison? to-
Yeah, sure.
Well, we gotta answer this.
Yeah, he has a question.
To-
So do you want
He
to put a
said
timeline on it?
timeline. Well, for us to be involved I think that we want to address their needs quickly in this season.
Okay, yeah, because you wanted to let the property owners, Vernon Trails and the city to work together, yes?
Correct, yes.
Right. Okay, so we have a motion on the table. Any other discussion?
Well, you're saying that we'll try, you wanted more long-term, like 2 years, but try to
I-
get the skunk problem taken care of this year. Is that kind of where we're at?
It's a wooded area, honestly, like you're gonna have
Right.
Yeah.
animals regardless. I mean, it's
So if I may real quick, and I
Yes,
hate to
please.
belabor this point, but like we have forested area that the city owns throughout the city. This isn't the only property. And we're going through a similar conversation with a separate property owner at a completely different side of town. And so I think as a city, we really need to understand what the expectations are for maintenance and standards on wooded forested areas because they're natural areas and stuff. So that's part of the conversation that we need to have. I think ideas for cleaning up with the intention of moving towards potential recreational opportunities may end up being a win-win, but just saying like, hey, let's get in there and clean it up right away. Like Kale's not wrong. Like the resources we have at our disposal to maintain everything the way like we all ideally wanted, it is a forested wooded natural area. And what is best practices for that? I don't know. I don't think Kale's had time to understand what is best practices for wooded area for both communities, nature, all of the above. Sustainability questions abound. So I think exploration is the right word and giving us time. And the reason it hasn't been addressed is because Kale's in the middle of a legacy project right now that's gigantic and it's really hitting the road right now. So I would just be really cautious on trying to expect his team, especially with me leaving, to make anything really substantial happen this year. I know they've been waiting. You guys have been super patient. I get that. I understand that, but feasibility is a real thing right now. Sorry, 1 second, sir.
We have a motion on the table, so we're gonna, I think we'll go ahead and do you want to voice vote? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
All right, so the ayes have it. So I guess we'll move on to the next agenda item because we are pressed for time here. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, I'll speak real quickly to this. Cindy, Kale, and I have been working on the old City Hall site. We've talked about future plans for that as being sort of a park. We've been a parklet, mini park. There's whatever designation you want to use. Kale has done a really tremendous job of bringing together some designers to kind of pick up where some of our free design services left off. And we'd like to bring that forward. We were going to talk to you guys today about which particular of the 3 firms that we've looked at for design services, but we're out of time. So I guess I would just ask this group if we can go through that more thoroughly at council. Since council's going to have to make a decision on the service agreement anyway. We just don't have enough time to even start that conversation.
So look for a motion to move on and discuss the
Just
council.
allow the conversation to skip Park and Rec for this point and go to council.
I make a motion to bring this agenda item up at the council meeting.
All right, we have a motion.
AGL second.
Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, the ayes have it. Moving on to Park and Rec Director updates.
I don't have a whole lot. Again, parks, we're just busy mowing, trying to get all the projects ready. We're doing the best we can with the limited staff we have. End of May, we should get our summer staff, so that will help. And then we can, concentrate on some of those things that we haven't got to. So that's where we're kind of on that. Recreation update. I did order travel shirts and our t-shirts. I did go with Games People Play this year. They were a lot less, and we'll see how they do this year. Hats, I still stayed with Sports World because Games People Play couldn't get us our hats. Just a couple cool things since I've been here. Minors and majors have always had like 60-40 kids. This year, majors is up to almost 70 and minors is at 66. So the highest I've been here, up by, 20 people almost. Registrations, we're at like 619 total registrations. So that's been good. Staff, we are all set minus a golf instructor. So if you know an older golf instructor, please let me know or who I can reach out to. Other than that, again, it's busy. Eckhart Park projects, everything in and out of the office. So love you have you stop by, but you'll probably see me on a mower before I'm in the office right now. So
Time for your golf.
but
class. What time is it?
mornings like 8 to 11:30
It's,
about 2 hours.
is it
each,
Monday, Tuesday?
Monday through Thursday?
Yeah, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Short period of time though. isn't
Yeah,
it?
6 weeks.
6 weeks.
Thank you, Kale. Thank you. Second period for public comment. If you'd like to make a public comment, please come up to the lectern. Name, address, please keep it under 3 minutes.
Right,
Super quick, Sunny Newenhouse, 422 Hickory. I really appreciate the effort to try to come up with a solution to the first problem, and I will volunteer for those trails too. So thank you.
Thank you. Any other members of the public like to make a comment? If you're online, would you like to, if you'd like to make a comment, please unmute yourself and make the comment now. Hearing none, we are gonna look for a motion to adjourn.
AJ, make a motion, we adjourn.
Todd, I second it.
All those in favor? Aye. We're adjourned. Thanks.